Testing, one, two, three. The arrival of the Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for National Security of Singapore, His Excellency Teo Chee Hean. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, may we have your attention please to view the safety video.
Terdapat beberapa pintu keluar di dalam setiap dewan kuliah. Apabila Anda mendengar bendera kecemasan, jalan ke pintu keluar yang terdekat. Cari jalan yang terdekat untuk keluar dari bangunan. Berhimpun pada tempat perhimpunan bersebelahan dan di hadapan bangunan. Jika berlakunya kecemasan, atau apabila terdengar bendera kecemasan, jangan panik. Semasa melalui tangga, sila pegang susur kanan di sebelah kiri. Ikut arahan fire marshal yang berada di setiap pintu keluar kecemasan. Dengan tenang keluar dari bangunan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. His Excellency Teo Chee Hean, the Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for National Security Singapore, Yang Mulia Datin Seri Paduka Dr. Hajah Rumaizah binti Haji Muhammad Saleh, Acting Minister of Education, His Excellency Masagos Zulkifli bin Masagos Muhammad, Minister for the Environment and Water Resources and Minister in charge of Muslim Affairs, Mr. Heng Chee Hao, Senior Minister of State for Defence, Mr. Edwin Tong Chun Fai, Senior Minister of State for Law and Health, Dr. Tan Wu Meng, Senior Parliamentary Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Trade and Industry, Yang Mulia Haji Adi Sharmin bin Haji Muhammad Taib, Acting Vice Chancellor of UTB, Permanent Secretaries, Deputy Permanent Secretaries, Principal Officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the special talk by His Excellency Teo Chee Hean. Before we proceed with the rest of the program, the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha and Doa Selamat will be led by Yang Mulia Pangeran Haji Muhammad Saleh bin Pangeran Haji Zakaria, officer from the Mosque Affairs Department.
أستغفر الله العظيم أستغفر الله العظيم أستغفر الله العظيم من كل ذنب عظيم حياء من الله العظيم إلى حضرة النبي المصطفى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وأصحابه الكرام وإلى أرواح والدينا ووالديكم وإلى أرواح المسلمات كافة عامة لهم الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. آمين يا الله آمين يا رحمن آمين يا رحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه مباركا عليه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد ذي القدر العظيم وعلى آل نبي الله العظيم وعلى أصحابه العظام. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا على الخير وأصلح ذات بيننا واهدنا سبل السلام ونجبنا من الظلمات إلى النور وجنبنا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن. اللهم بارك لنا في أسماعنا وأبصارنا وقلوبنا وأزواجنا وأرزاقنا وآرائنا في مجلسنا هذا وتم علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم واجعلنا شاكرين لنعمتك مثنين بها قابلين بها وأتمها علينا. اللهم إنا نسألك خير هذا المجلس وبركته أوله وخير ما بعده ونعوذ بك من شره وآفاته أوله وآخره وما بعده. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم الطف بنا في تيسير كل عسير فإن تيسير كل عسير عليك يسير. اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق وأعمالنا من الرياء وألسنة من الكذب وعيوننا من الخيانة فإنك تعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور. اللهم إنا نسألك بأسمائك الحسنى وصفاتك العظمى وكلماتك التامة أن تلحظ بعين عنايتك ربانية وتحفظ بحفظ وقايتك الصمدانية كباهدul yang maha mulia Paduka Sri Baginda Sultan Haji Hasan Bulkiah Mu'izzuddin Wad-Daulah Ibni Almarhum Sultan Haji Umar Ali Saifuddin Sa'adul Khair Wad-Din Sultan yang di Pertuan Negara Brunei Darussalam. Allahumma fazhu fi nafsi wa ahlihi wa awladihi wa ahfadihi wa qarabatihi wa ra'iyatihi ajma'in. Allahumma adimhum mutamatti'an bitulil baqa mutawwajan bitijani sihhati wal hana. Allahumma atil umrahum musliha lil muwazzafina wa ra'iyat wal bilad wa balligh maqasidahu li tariqil huda wa rashad. Allahumma jal mamlakatahu negara Brunei Darussalam ma'muratan bittaqadim wassalam wal adli wassalahi wal barakati bainal anam wal rakha'i wal amni wal nasri wa sa'ira biladil Islam. Allahumma jal jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al lahuma finna wa la ma'ana wa la man yasba'una shaqiyya wa la mahruma wa la matruda. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Taqabbalallahu minkum.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we now invite Yang Mulia Haji Adi Sharmin bin Haji Muhammad Taib, Acting Vice Chancellor of UTB, to deliver his welcoming remark.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Your Excellency, Mr. Teo Chee Hean, the Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for National Security of the Republic of Singapore, Yang Mulia Datin Seri Paduka Dr. Hajah Romaizah binti Haji Muhammad Saleh, Acting Minister of Education, Brunei Darussalam, Your Excellencies, Mr. Masagos Zulkifli bin Masagos Muhammad, Minister for the Environment and Water Resources and Minister in charge of Muslim Affairs, Mr. Heng Chee Hao, Senior Minister of State for Defense, Mr. Edwin Tong Chun Fai, Senior Minister of State for Law and Health, Dr. Tan Wu Meng, Senior Parliamentary Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Trade and Industry, Mr. Lim Hong Huai, High Commissioner of Singapore, Yang Mulia Permanent Secretaries, Deputy Permanent Secretaries, Principal Officers of the University, staff and students, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning. First of all, it is an honor for me, on behalf of the university, to welcome Your Excellency, Senior Minister Teo Chee Hean, and delegation to University Technology Brunei. It is also a privilege for the university to have been included in the program of this year's visit, and especially to host the special talk entitled Singapore-Brunei Relations in the Global Context this morning, which we are all very looking forward to. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me for the next couple of minutes to share with you some background information about University Technology Brunei, which is also affectionately known as UTB. We were established as Institute Technology Brunei in 1986, so that's 2 years after Brunei's independence, with the aim of producing paraprofessionals with higher national diploma qualifications for the country's expanding public and private sectors. Our programs back then were designed to be hands-on, practical, and very much industry-focused, which had proven to be quite popular amongst employers and students alike. In 2008, we were upgraded to a university and began offering undergraduate and postgraduate academic programs. We are proud to maintain the same ethos in our outcome-based curricula. The name Institute Technology Brunei was changed to University Technology Brunei much later, in 2016. UTB is not a comprehensive university, but it specializes in the niche areas of engineering, business, computing, applied sciences and mathematics, and design. We put a significant amount of effort to ensure that our programs meet the high standards set by the respective professions and internationally recognized. As a result, we have acquired professional accreditation for our civil engineering, computing, and accounting programs. Inshallah, other programs will follow suit in due course. Today, UTB has more than 1,400 students and 144 academic staff. UTB, in a short span of 11 years since its upgrade to a university, has managed to establish a reputation as a quality provider of higher education in the country. Even though it is relatively small and young, it is currently ranked 379 in the world and 181 in Asia, as well as rated 5 stars by Quacquarelli Simmons QS. Our vision is to become a global university impacting society, and in the next 5 years, we aspire to see the university improving its international prominence while making a strong impact and contribution to the country's human resource, industrial, and enterprising capabilities. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we realize the importance of internationalization in higher education. Continuous and strategic interactions between institutions at regional and international levels are key to achieving this. The university has had distinguished academics from Singapore in our international advisory panel and also as external moderator. We also had UTB students undergoing industrial internship with companies in Singapore. A group of Singaporean researchers debuting in our flagship Crown Prince Cipta Award in 2015, which is a biennial creativity and innovation competition. And at the debut, they won the grand prize immediately, straight away. And we have also been receiving groups of student visitors from Singapore. We will continue to explore ways to encourage more interactions and collaborations between our staff and students with their counterparts in Singapore and the region. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I would like to thank His Excellency the Senior Minister once again for the opportunity to host the special talk and visit. I also wish for continuous success of the Young Leaders Program between Brunei Darussalam and Singapore. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Tuan Haji Adi. We will now invite Yang Mulia Dr. Muhammad Saiful bin Haji Omar, Dean of School of Computing and Informatics, to give a brief introduction of His Excellency Teo Chee Hean, the Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for National Security Singapore. After the talk, Dr. Saiful will also moderate the question and answer. We will now pass the floor to you, Dr. Saiful.
Thank you, Dianku. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have with us today His Excellency Teo Chee Hean, who will be presenting a special talk this morning. His Excellency Teo Chee Hean was appointed as Senior Minister of Singapore on the 1st of May 2019. His Excellency also served as Coordinating Minister for National Security since the 21st of May 2011, and oversee the Smart Nation and Digital Government Group, the National Security Coordination Secretariat, the National Population and Talent Division, and National Climate Change Secretariat under the Prime Minister's Office. His Excellency has more than 20 years of experience in his political career. In 1992, His Excellency was elected as Member of Parliament in the Marine Parade Representation Constituency. In the following years, His Excellency served as Minister of State in the Ministries of Finance, Communication, and Defense. His Excellency also served as Minister of Home Affairs, Minister for Defense, Minister for Education, and Minister of the Environment. In 2009, His Excellency was appointed as the Deputy Prime Minister for 10 years. His Excellency graduated with a Bachelor of Science with first-class honors from the University of Manchester. His Excellency then completed his Master's degree in Computing Science from Imperial College in London and Master's degree in Public Administration at Kennedy School of Government in Harvard University. Without further ado, we now respectfully invite His Excellency Teo Chee Hean to present his talk entitled Singapore-Brunei Relations in the Global Context.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saiful. Acting Minister for Education, Datin Sri Paduka Dr. Haja Ramaiza. Acting Vice Chancellor of UTB, Haji Adi Shamin. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to be back in Brunei at the invitation of His Royal Highness, Crown Prince Haji Al Muhtadi Billah for the Young Leaders Program. This is the 7th year of the program, which was initiated by His Majesty Sultan Haji Hasnal Bolkiah Muizzaddin Wadaullah, the Sultan and Yang di-Pertuan of Brunei Darussalam, and Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, the Prime Minister of Singapore. I'm delighted to speak to all of you today at University Technology Brunei, or one of the top 10 universities in Southeast Asia for engineering and technology. Speaking to students is always an enjoyable experience. Listening to students is an even more enjoyable experience, so I look forward to hearing your views and having a good question and answer session later on. You are the next generation who will bring new energy and fresh ideas to address the challenges that we face, explore new frontiers, and take us into the future. As students of UTB, you are familiar with both the potential as well as the disruptive power of technology. Technology has unlocked social progress and human potential, uplifted our standard of living, transformed industries, and brought the world closer together. Harnessing technology has allowed us to do more with less and to achieve breakthroughs beyond our predecessors' dreams. We can see examples of this all around us. In manufacturing, the fourth industrial revolution is now upon us, with new and far-reaching technological breakthroughs like robotics, new materials, 3D printing, artificial intelligence that are fundamentally transforming the global economy. Businesses have been forced to change the way they operate. Workers are using technology to become more productive, and global markets are becoming increasingly integrated. Both Singapore and Brunei will need to position ourselves to ride this fourth wave, to bring about tangible benefits to our economies and our peoples. Technology has also played a critical role in the oil and gas industry, something which Brunei is well known for. We can now discover previously unknown sources and extract oil and gas located deep under the sea. Through new and advanced seismic processing technology, Brunei was able to discover new fields in April 2017, the most important oil discovery in nearly 40 years. Green technology has enabled us to seek cleaner and more sustainable sources of energy, to reduce our carbon footprint and the impact of greenhouse gas emissions, a subject so important that it was one of the key areas of focus in this year's UN General Assembly meetings. In Singapore, we are rethinking our energy needs and pursuing green growth opportunities in clean and efficient energy, including solar deployment, smart grids, and electrification of transportation, as well as longer-term solutions like hydrogen, which I understand that Brunei is also pursuing. Singapore's small size and lack of resources provide us the impetus to find innovative solutions to overcome the challenges that we face. At the same time, technology poses new challenges and dilemmas. Digital technology has connected communities around the world and created new economic opportunities. But we are also faced with cyber threats and the spread of online falsehoods. Breakthroughs in medical technology allow us to generate artificial organs and customized treatments through cell and gene therapy. But they have also further blurred the lines of healthcare ethics. In defense, autonomous systems, robotics, and artificial intelligence have transformed battlefields. But they have also opened up new vulnerabilities through asymmetrical, difficult to attribute, low intensity, gray zone warfare. So how do we prepare ourselves to harness the potential of technology and deal with its challenges? And how do we ensure that we maximize human potential and human progress and leave the world in better stead for future generations? Our universities have a very important role to play in this, in all our societies. Through their research, our universities discover and help harness new knowledge. They also help to provide a framework for us to analyze and understand the potential social implications of the new world that we live in. An enduring and key function of universities is to equip our young people with relevant and deep skills. We will need new scientific and engineering solutions to help combat climate change, cure diseases, strengthen our cyber defenses, and tackle national security issues. In addition, universities need to provide our graduates with important attributes to make them world ready, ready for the world, so that they are able to contribute and create new value in whatever career they may pursue. These attributes include creativity and innovation, communication and language skills, and understanding and empathy with their communities and the wider world which we all share. Institutions like UTB make important contributions by helping to develop a pool of well-rounded young professionals with deep engineering and technological skills to help bring solutions that make a real difference to our lives. Universities also need to move beyond conferring academic degrees to promoting lifelong learning. It is no longer sufficient for young graduates to use the same knowledge and skills for the rest of their lives. Instead, universities must evolve to become your students' partner in learning for life, to help them to continuously learn and relearn, and to upgrade and pick up new skills to adapt to changing demands and to tackle new challenges. In Singapore, we have launched a national movement called Skills Future, which works closely with our universities and tertiary institutions to help all Singaporeans continuously update their knowledge and skills throughout the different stages of their lives and their careers. This is the new paradigm of education, which every country needs to strive for the future. It will help all our citizens embrace and share the benefits of advances in technology throughout their lives, rather than fearing the disruptions that technology might bring. We look forward to strengthening collaboration with UTB and other universities in Brunei in this area. Apart from education, there are also other opportunities for Singapore and Brunei to play our part in finding solutions to global challenges and contextualizing global ideas to our national context. I can see this taking place at 3 different levels: bilaterally between us, regionally, and globally. Bilaterally, Singapore and Brunei have always shared a very special relationship, anchored by strong political and people-to-people ties, wide-ranging and substantive cooperation in many fields, and deep mutual trust developed over many decades. We should build on these strong foundations to take our cooperation further. Given the volatile geopolitical environment, Singapore and Brunei have to continue working together to strengthen defense cooperation, to contribute to regional stability and safeguard each other's security. This year, the Republic of Singapore Air Force and the Royal Brunei Air Force are commemorating the 40th anniversary of our Air Force helicopter detachment here in Brunei, and the 25th anniversary of Exercise Airguard, our bilateral exercise. Our 2 navies are also commemorating the 40th anniversary of Exercise Pelican, and I can say with great pleasure that I've participated in a couple of these exercises myself. I would like to express our deepest appreciation to His Majesty, the government and people of Brunei, for generously allowing the SCF to train in Brunei over the years, and look forward to our 2 militaries doing even more together. Another hallmark of our bilateral cooperation is the Currency Interchangeability Agreement, which has been in place for 52 years. It's a remarkable agreement. This unique link has eliminated foreign exchange risks, facilitated trade and investment, and benefited both our countries. Given the uncertainties in the global economy, we should build on this to further strengthen our economic and financial cooperation. Last year, Singapore President Halimah Yacob visited Brunei on a state visit in May 2018, and our 2 countries signed an agreement to explore cooperation and share best practices on financial technology, and a memorandum of understanding to exchange information to combat transnational challenges like money laundering, terrorist financing, and related criminal activity. There are also opportunities for us to collaborate in emerging areas such as the digital economy and electronic payments. So in a sense, the Currency Interchangeability Agreement 2.0 into new areas. This is in line with His Majesty's wish for Brunei to tap on the potential of the digital economy as outlined in his Tita on 15th July in conjunction with His Majesty's 73rd birthday celebrations. Singapore and Brunei are also working together on many new areas, such as judicial cooperation and food security. These two are so different from each other, but it shows the breadth and depth of the relationship that we have. In food security in particular, this is in line with His Majesty's priority of achieving sustainable agricultural growth for Brunei. I'm happy that we will be establishing a joint working group between Brunei's Ministry of Primary Resources and Tourism and Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry to drive agri-food and aquaculture cooperation, which will help to diversify our economies and bolster food security. In these few days that I'm here, I've been visiting several of these farms and really being excited by what is being done here. Regionally, as small countries, Singapore and Brunei share many similar interests and concerns. ASEAN is the cornerstone of our two countries' foreign policies. Working through ASEAN gives both Brunei and Singapore a bigger voice together to tackle issues at a regional level and on the world stage. We have always collaborated closely in ASEAN and worked together to uphold ASEAN unity and centrality. Singapore looks forward to supporting Brunei when Brunei takes over the chairmanship of ASEAN in 2021, so that we can maximize the opportunity to address issues of common concern and bring ASEAN forward. One immediate area for cooperation is upholding free trade and economic integration, given the global trade issues that have emerged. With ASEAN taking the lead, we are now working on the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which brings together the 10 ASEAN member states and 6 regional partners who have existing FTAs with ASEAN, namely Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea. When concluded, this will be the world's largest free trade agreement. I urge all RCEP members to work towards an expeditious conclusion of the agreement, as it provides an important opportunity to boost the existing multilateral trading framework that has benefited all our countries. Globally, our shared strategic outlook has always made our two countries natural partners at many international platforms, such as the World Trade Organization, or WTO, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC, and the United Nations. We work together to establish the Forum of Small States and the Global Governance Group to give smaller countries a voice under the auspices of the UN. We were also partners in the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership Agreement, or P4. Before it evolved and became the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, and has now been signed and concluded as the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for TPP, or CPTPP. We now have the opportunity to shape rules and standards in the growing e-commerce industry through the joint statement on electronic commerce, which was signed at the 11th WTO Ministerial Conference in December 2017. Earlier this year, Australia, Japan, and Singapore hosted a meeting of WTO members on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos to move it from exploratory discussions to negotiations. It's encouraging that 80 WTO members, accounting for more than 90% of global trade and ranging from developed to the least developed countries, are currently participating in the ongoing negotiations. We hope that Brunei can also partner Singapore in this promising initiative to update WTO rules to reflect current economic realities and set clear and consistent international rules for an open, transparent, and predictable digital trade environment. This is the new world which we are all entering. In an uncertain and rapidly changing world, the depth and the breadth of our close partnership will continue to be a pillar of strength for both our countries. Apart from working together at the global, regional, and bilateral levels, we can also strengthen our cooperation at a more personal and institutional level. I encourage UTB to reach out to your university counterparts in Singapore, such as Singapore's 6 autonomous universities, and for students from UTB to do the same through exchanges and programs. In fact, we have exchanges and programs at all levels. One of the members of my delegation, Minister Grace Fu, is actually visiting a primary school right now because we have some primary school students from Singapore on exchange with the primary school here. So I think it's good to start young and then to continue into, throughout life. This is also lifelong learning in some ways. So let us continue to strengthen our partnership and support each other so that we can face the challenges of tomorrow with confidence and create a brighter future for our two countries and peoples. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing your insight on this important topic. It was most enlightening, and I'm sure everyone here would agree. Now we open the floor for question and answer session. Before you pose your question, please state your name as well as where you're from. Your Excellency, are you ready to take the first
ready.
question?
I'm looking forward to it.
So please raise your hand if you have a question. Yes. Please state your name and where you're from, please.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Eva. I'm a PhD student in Computer and Information System. My question for Excellency is, can you share your thoughts for the long-term strategy in education, including upskilling and reskilling for readiness towards the smart nation and the Industrial Revolution 4.0? Thank you.
Sure. If you look at the way education has evolved over the years, in macro terms, please sit down, it's all right. The concept of schools and so on evolved over the years, over the centuries. We had mass primary education for most people as societies started down the road of simple industrialization. And then we had mass secondary education where most people were expected to go to secondary school or at least attend some school when we had the Industrial Revolution. The whole idea of mass tertiary education really started after the Second World War with the US and the GI Bill, where they gave grants and started universities for the soldiers coming back from the Second World War. And this revolution went to Europe in the late 1960s, after the long hot summers when the students went on a rampage in many European cities. And European universities opened up, and a much larger proportion of students in Europe went to universities than before. It used to be something like 10%, 15%, and it increased to 40, 50%. The next phase of education, for mass education, really is mass continuing education. And this speaks to your point about how do you develop ideas for a smart nation and prepare population, and not just students, for life. There are two main drivers to this. Firstly, we all live longer. Secondly, technology is changing faster. So to imagine that you can just finish learning all that you ever need to learn for life before you start work is really not going to work anymore. So you really have to update yourself. I was reading a statistic that suggested that I think in 1950, Standard & Poor's, the average lifespan of a company was 60 years. Now, at that time, the average lifespan of a person was probably around 60 years. Today, the average lifespan of the companies on Standard & Poor's 500 is 20 years. And the average lifespan of a person is something like 80 or 85 years. So you can't imagine that you can continue to work at the same job with the same skills for the rest of your life. You have to keep on updating yourself every 10, 15, 20, continuously. And therein lies the whole issue of alienation from technology and being ready for the smart nation. Because technology is moving so fast. And people are frightened by technology. They are afraid because they think they're not as smart as the technology which they have to deal with, which is not true. Human beings are smarter than the technology that they are dealing with. Otherwise, how did the technology get invented? Human beings did it. So inherently, we have the ability to do it. But we need the motivation, the environment, the institutions, and so on. So for lifelong learning, as with, say, tertiary education, the key questions for educationists and governments, employers around the world is, how is it delivered? How is it learned? In what kinds of institutions? In the workplace, in institutions? Who pays for it? Right? How long does it last? What kind of qualification structure is there to certify that what you have learned is sort of meets certain standards? So these questions are still open, and I think they will evolve over the years, 10, 15 years, but I think they're needed all over the world. And as I said, this is important to make sure that people across all levels of society benefit from the advances in technology rather than fear being disrupted by it.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency. For the next question, can we have the opportunity to the audience next door? We have another audience from next door.
Yeah. Hello to all of you.
Good morning, Your Excellency. Okay, I'm Salihin. I'm still a PhD student from School of Computing and Informatics. So my question is, with the long-standing relationship between Brunei and Singapore, I just want to know what is your expectation for Brunei to achieve its vision in 2035?
Sorry, Brunei for?
Vision
For Brunei
2035.
to achieve its vision in 2035.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think Brunei, like Singapore, faces a new world out there. It's a globalized world, technological changes, many things happening out there. So I think if you look at the history of development of countries over the last 40, 50 years, say since the Second World War, roughly speaking, decolonization and so on, and what, more than 40, 50 years now since the Second World War, more like 70 years. When countries decolonized, became independent, and selected what path they wanted to take. Some countries, some big ones, some not so big ones, decided that they should close themselves up, maintain their own national integrity and their culture and value system, and not interact with the rest of the world. And I think the history has shown that such countries have actually fallen behind and not been able to succeed. And we have examples everywhere. Big countries as well, and even countries in Southeast Asia, which made that decision in the 1950s and 60s, and then have fallen seriously behind their neighbors, with roughly the same sort of population to resource kind of ratios. So those countries which have opened up, made progress, I think those are examples of what's happening for the future. I think countries which have been able to diversify their economic base have probably also done a little better, because then you become less dependent on individual sectors. And that's what we are trying to do in Singapore. We strive for a diversified economy. When we became independent, we were very dependent on British military bases in Singapore, which accounted for 25% of our GDP and our employment. And when the British decided to leave in 1971, that was a big shock to our economy and employment in Singapore. But fortunately, we had time, just enough time to diversify from trade and finance into other areas, industrialization, manufacturing, and other things, tourism, and so on. So this provided a broader base and a better cushion for our economy and a wide variety of jobs for young people. And I think Brunei is trying to do the same thing. You are very dependent on oil and gas industry. It has done you well, but you are layering on new industries on top of that with petrochemical plants, refineries, and so on, and also diversifying the economy away from just the oil and gas base. Agriculture was one example I was talking about. I visited a very dynamic melon farm yesterday, which, apart from producing delicious melons, I think can contribute significantly in areas like this to the Bruneian economy and can provide very interesting jobs as well, even for technology graduates. The person I was speaking to was a chemistry graduate, and he went into farming because he understood fertilizers, how to balance irrigation, how to design an automatic irrigation system, and so on. So he would be, I would say, a very proud example of a technology graduate who has gone into what would be considered an unconventional area for a technology graduate, farming. So I think the diversification of the Bruneian economy, I think is the correct step, and the connection, making the Bruneian economy connected, more connected with the rest of the world to exploit those opportunities that are available. I think that's the correct direction. But the key depends on developing the human resource potential of Brunei. Brunei, like Singapore, we don't have very many people. And we have to develop the potential of our people to the maximum extent. And I'm glad to see that the universities, UTB, has done very well in that.
Thank you. We still have time for a last question.
I'm quite open to taking more if you have time.
Okay.
I have time.
Okay, so very good morning, His Excellency. First of all, I'm pleased to see you after 8 years, because I was working with NUS for 6 years. So I was working with organizations like NEA, Jurong Island, Punggol Sarangon Reservoir, and so many organizations where I have learned so much of expertise. So here I don't have any question, but I have a small request on behalf of UTB. It's good that you already spoken about exchanges between Singapore and Brunei. So can you put forward to make more active exchanges between the UTB, where I represent, with the good universities like NUS and NTU in Singapore?
We would welcome that. And I think these things are best done at the organic level between professors and between students and between faculties. They know what they're interested in, and then they know how to work together in these areas. And I would encourage that. I'm quite happy to take a couple more questions.
Anyone? Yes, please. Please introduce your name.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Dr. Vaslina. I'm an assistant professor from the Faculty of Engineering, UTB. Artificial intelligence undoubtedly comes with the promise to improve human health and our quality of life. But I'm sure you will agree that there is also a risk and threats that come with it. How should government address these potential challenges?
With artificial intelligence specifically? Well, I look after Smart Nation initiatives in Singapore. At the same time, I oversee our cybersecurity agency and also public sector data security. So I see both sides of the problem. AI provides a lot of opportunities, for example, in developing precision medicine. So you can analyze large quantities of data, try and find patterns, diagnose earlier, and then target treatments for diseases at an early stage and in a very targeted way. So that, I think, is a great promise of AI. And that's for the individual patient. But at a system level, it is also important because healthcare in many countries is consuming a larger and larger proportion of government expenditures and the expenditures in any country, of the GDP of any country. And if you want to provide good healthcare and you want to do it in a way which is affordable, this is a major challenge for every country. So AI does provide the potential to design healthcare systems in a more targeted way, not just for individuals, but in the provision at the macro level. So it helps at two levels. Now, one of the problems, of course, as I think you're alluding to, is if you share data, how do you make sure that privacy and individual health information is not sort of widely shared when you don't want to share it? So there are rules. So part of it is processes and rules and laws, regulations to make sure that sharing of data happens only in a controlled way and in a very structured way. So we are evolving those rules along with many other countries which are doing the same thing. The other way that we can do this is through technology, because to share data now, we are developing technologies, I'm sure in UTB, in our universities and research centers and around the world, how to anonymize data. Either you hash them, you do various things to them, or certain fields, so that you can aggregate the data, you can analyze the data, do analytics on it, derive the conclusions that you want to, without having to reveal the identity of the individuals as you're doing these mass data analytics. Well, the principle I would follow is this. Where the outcome benefits the individual person, I think there is less concern about sharing identity of the individual. Where the outcome, where the data is being aggregated for the purpose of a macro outcome, not specific to an individual, but say for a good societal outcome, then I think it's important to anonymize the data. And the society as a whole benefits, individuals are not identified. So I say in general, that's the principle that I would follow, and that's the approach I think that we are trying to take, which I imagine that we are trying to take here in Brunei and elsewhere in the world as well.
Thank you, Excellency. Shall we take another question?
Well, maybe from another room also.
Yes. Can we have another question
How
from
many
the
rooms do you
other
have?
rooms?
How many rooms do you have?
Only the next door.
Okay, so we must give them a fair
Yeah.
chance. I thought I saw more student faces there too.
Anyone from there? Or do you have any question in this room? Yes. Dr. Al.
Hello, good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Ao Tian Wan. I'm the Dean of School and Graduate Research, UTB. Yeah, my question is to do with the national security. I see diversification in Brunei is a security issue because if we success, if we don't success, you know. Yeah, my question is...
Why is it a national security issue?
Because if we diversify, if we don't succeed, you know, it could be a security issue to the nation. Yeah. But my question is maybe from your vast experience with a population of 420,000 around that, what do you see our, you know, maybe our chance of diversification, or maybe the advice that you would give to Brunei, you know, with a small population to diversify? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you very much.
Well, it's difficult from 2 points of view. One is the smallness, as Dr. Au has pointed out. So when you're small, you don't have, it's more difficult to develop a base for each sector if you diversify to many sectors. That's one issue I think Brunei faces. And I think the other issue that Brunei faces is that you have a resource-based economy, which means that the resource-based economy actually draws resources, manpower and talent, as well as sets a price level for manpower and talent in Brunei, which is based on that resource, oil and gas. And that can make it difficult for other sectors to compete internationally. And I think this is a common problem faced by many countries which have an oil and gas-based economy. But I think the solutions are to diversify and to form links with good partners around the world. I think if you can do that, then you expand the scope of what you are trying to do in Brunei. So I come back again to agriculture because, I mean, I've been visiting, I tell you, a lot of farms these last few days. I'm going to visit some more farms this afternoon. If you diversify and your intention is just to produce for the Brunei population and the Brunei belly, there are not so many bellies to be filled in Brunei. So the market is inherently going to be small. But if you diversify and you look at what, say, the region or even beyond the region offers for good quality food, then that's a different proposition altogether. Because then Brunei can also leverage on some of the strengths that you have, which is a good environment, clean environment, maintain high standards in food hygiene, and then the demand for good food, high quality food, safe food around the world is a very strong one. So if you look at that as a bigger market, then there's an opportunity for diversification beyond just the small size of Brunei, because you can look beyond your own size. And I think for countries like Brunei and Singapore, that's what we've been doing, and we're probably most successful if we do that in diversification.
Thank you, Excellencies. Any more? Yes.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Iskandar, master student in civil engineering. I would like to ask you about a question about tourism. Since Brunei has a great deal of potential, so how can Singapore Tourism Board help Brunei to explore its potential? So how can Brunei attract more tourism?
Well, I think Brunei has a lot of tourism potential. It's a question also of what Brunei decides that it wants to do with the tourism potential that it has. So tourism, you can appeal to many different sectors of tourism. And I think Brunei has picked quite a good sector, which is, roughly speaking, eco-tourism, maybe family tourism, maybe honeymoon tourism. These are all sort of, I think, good sectors of tourism to pick, and fits in well with what Brunei has in terms of your resources, and also fits in well with culture, values, and what you consider important in Brunei for your own societal balance. So I think you have picked good areas for tourism. And it's not what Singapore can do to help Brunei. I mean, we can cooperate, because both Singapore and Brunei, we are relatively small as tourist destinations. So if tourists have a week or 10 days in a year for their holidays, they may want to wrap several destinations together, check off more boxes, tick more boxes, and have a variety of things that they can do. So Brunei may be a nice place for them to sort of chill out, reconnect with the world, reconnect with themselves because of the very pleasant environment that you produce, that you have here. Singapore and other countries in Southeast Asia may offer a